An organization which tracks political prisoners around the world. Javier, thank you so much for being with us. How are you reading this news? Does this indicate to you that Havana is poised to make the kinds of changes that Washington is seeking?
No, not at all. The announcement included a condition that the crimes against authorities would not be covered, so such as all forms of contempt, disobedience, resistance, or attempt. So that means that 90% of the political prisoners, of the 1,214 political prisoners, would not be covered by this measure. And in fact, we have been auditing many prisons in Cuba, and in all of them, they're draining ordinary prisoners and known political prisoners. So this is the same measure that the Cuban regime is carrying out, a prison drain similar to those conducted in 2015, 2019, for example. They do it every 3-4 years. They carry out these drains because they have the highest incarceration rate in the world, nearly the double of the United States, with more than 1,000 prisoners per 100,000 inhabitants. I mean, 1% of the population in Cuba is in prison. So that's impractical for a failed state like Cuba, who doesn't have any economy to sustain that.
Javier, walk us through what it means to commit a crime against authority, because as you pointed out, the Cuban government is excluding those kinds of crimes from releases. So what constitutes a crime against authority?
Yeah, for example, in the demonstrations in the 11J in 2021, where dozens of thousands of people went on the streets in Cuba pacifically, the authorities went with bats, baseball bats, and all sorts of these wood sticks, hitting the population that was demonstrating, and then they charged them of attempt, resistance, contempt, disobedience, all sorts of these crimes that they fabricate not to let anyone call them political prisoners. But the thing is that we have all the sentences, all the cases, and we have studied that very close, and all of them are poor people that were just demonstrating. So the political prisoners are condemned for common crimes where they haven't committed any of those. So that's that, and that is the crimes against the authorities is the most usual crime they charge on political prisoners in Cuba.
What are you hearing from the families of the prisoners that you keep track of?
Well, I was talking to many families since yesterday and today. I talk every day with many of the families. That's one thing I do as a vocation. And the thing is that they are suffering a lot. And when the regime announces the release of prisoners, their heart goes boom, and some of them even have to go to the hospital after the circumstances that come later, which is that all of this is a trick for press and media to confuse everybody and gain time because they know the regime is ending and they need to release the pressure and get help from the people who still believe that this failed state is something to protect somehow. Huh?
So how do you think the Trump administration, the United States, should respond to this?
Well, I don't want to. I don't have the moral to say anything to the United States what they should do or not. But humanity and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights says it very clear. There's a supreme right above all, which is the supreme right of rebellion against tyrannies. And it puts it on human beings. It doesn't put it on the citizen of a certain country. So the responsibility to protect, which is signed by all countries in the modern world, should be something inevitable. in the cases of like Iran, in which 30,000 people were shot by the regime recently, or in Cuba, where we have more than 1,200 political prisoners, another 11,000 with pre-crime condemnations because they are prone to commit a crime in the future, like Minority Report, or Venezuela, or Nicaragua, or North Korea. So in these cases, the humanity, not only the United States, the problem is that the United States is the only one who's doing something, and that is tragic, because the rest of the humanity is not helping enough to get those tyrannies out of the world, because they're creating immense problems, not only for their citizens, but for regions, entire regions.
Javier Larrondo, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate your perspective.
Thank you very much.
Brianna?
Now to some of the other headlines that we're watching this hour. United Airlines is